months ago, the picture of the Indian economy was a very, very different one. Some of the largest agencies in the world had forecasted a huge shrinkage of the annual GDP. Things were looking bleak. The Reserve Bank itself has seen the economy contracting at 10% this annum. In just about 2 months, the mood seems to have changed. In fact, agencies like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs have now made an upward revision of their forecast for how much the Indian economy will contract by. Mind you, we will still contract. Our growth will be lesser than last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but the extent of contraction is expected to be less. Overall, things seem to be looking up. Now, how real are these signs of revival? Is it fueled by optimism more than any realistic sort of outlook or data? To speak more on this, I'm joined now by a very special guest, Mr. Amitabh Kant. Mr. Kant, thank you so much for speaking with ET Now, and glad to be speaking to you at a time when things are largely looking up. Is this a true turnaround in the way things are, or a momentary sort of relief in what COVID-19 has done to the economy?
No, if you look at not merely Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs, even Moody's has revised its forecast for India. And I am extremely confident that we are on the path to sustaining this recovery. All signs presently seem to indicate that the pace of recovery is increasing and increasing rapidly. The index of industrial production, which had been in contraction for 6 months, had turned positive in September. The manufacturing PMI in October 2020 is not just growing, but is at a multi-year high. And these trends, in my mind, are likely to persist. This is because, along with the fiscal and monetary stimuli, the government has also introduced reforms. And these reforms were long demanded. Agriculture has been reformed. Commercial coal mining is a reality. Labor laws have been rationalized and codified. And we also now have this path-breaking production-linked incentive scheme in the manufacturing sector, which has been launched. In addition, if you look at the definition of MSME, which was pending for over 2 decades, has been revised upward substantially, this will enhance their capacity to invest further and grow. And, I think these reforms will sustain growth in the near term, particularly as they are being accompanied by a big fiscal and monetary stimuli. And as we continue to unlock the economy, I see clear signs that the economy is reviving. And if the economy is reviving, then employment is reviving. And if employment is rising, then demand will rise as well. Therefore, as a result of these initiatives taken, we should see a boost in both the economy and employment. And my personal view is that we should see a demand rise as well.
Mr. Kant, a lot of the measures that you have spoken about, including the production-linked incentive schemes in the manufacturing sector, are long-term bets. In fact, with PLIs, we still are waiting for what the details are in every industry and in every sector. And yes, agricultural reforms are big, but they still have to be actually implemented. The same with labor reforms. Can we really say that this turnaround of mood is because of these announcements, which are yet to actually play out in any kind of concrete impact?
So the crisis was seen as an opportunity by the government, and the Prime Minister pushed through some major reforms. And let me tell you that out of the production-linked incentive scheme for 10 sectors, 3 sectors have already been rolled out. And the mobile and electronic sector has actually received a very good response. We've seen all the Apple manufacturers coming into India. We've seen Samsung expanding its capacity. And we are expecting that other sectors will follow very quickly. So we covered 10 sectors, that is advanced chemistry cell battery, pharmaceutical drugs, automobile, auto components, textile products, food products, high efficiency solar PV modules, white goods, air conditioners, and LED and specialty steels. And all these sectors are at very advanced stages. They will go through the process, but in the next 45 days, we expect to approve their schemes through the cabinet process. So this was a broad umbrella scheme, but what it has demonstrated is that these are 10 sectors which are being envisaged as the 10 champion sectors. The government will be spending close to about 2 lakh crores, which is about 26 billion over the next 5 years. And logically, if you look at it, if on an average we are providing a 5% incentive, and therefore my view is that we should be actually able to see a production increase of about close to 520 billion from the production linked incentive scheme in the next 5 years. And this is a huge incentive. Now, many other reforms also have moved forward. For instance, the MSME reform has already been implemented. But more than that, I think we've sent out a signal, and during the COVID-19 period itself, India is the only country which has received close to 38 billion US dollar worth of investment in both tech and manufacturing sectors. So the mood is generally positive, and we need to just accelerate the pace of implementation now.
Yeah. Just a follow up on the PLI schemes, Mr. Kant. For my understanding, how are we arriving at what exactly these incentives are? Is this after discussion with stakeholders from industry and based on what they would actually require to incentivize them to move production facilities to India or expand production facilities in various sectors?
So there are very, very detailed interaction with the industry without which we do not move forward. There is a massive amount of interaction. We take their views into consideration. In fact, including selecting these 10 sectors, we've had interaction with over 35 ministries and departments, out of which we've selected just the 10. And our objective is that we should be able to bring in size and scale of manufacturing in India. And we've moved away from this legacy of trying to, support everybody, but we are focusing on cutting edge technology. We are focusing on scale and size. We are focusing on exports, and we are focusing on ensuring efficiency. So this is a paradigm shift in the mindset itself of trying to make India a very integral part of the global supply chain. And if you look at the sectors which have been selected, some of these are sunrise areas of growth. Some of these sectors are job creating sectors like textile and food processing. And many of these sectors are really sectors where India can be a very key manufacturer in the global supply chain. Once you get the size and scale, there's no reason why India is not able to become a major economic contributor as far as automobile industry is concerned. Similarly with pharmaceutical, we are already the pharmacy of the world, but we should leapfrog. And areas like telecom, equipment, it forms a very critical and strategic element of building a secure telecom infrastructure, which we keep importing. And this is an area where there are huge emerging opportunities and India can become a big player. Similarly, textile, processing, food industry. And our view is that we should look at areas where the world will be moving in the next 3 to 4 years as far as technology is concerned and become a global champion. Quite often we get into sunset areas of industries. It's very difficult to penetrate those areas, and therefore these are all sunrise areas of growth.
Mr. Kant, the dichotomy, if I may say so, is that there is a lot of excitement and enthusiastic reception to some of the long-term reforms and plans that the government routinely announces, like agriculture, labor, the PLI scheme, etc. But when it comes to the short-term immediate stimulus, often after every tranche of announcement, including the latest one, there's a sense that there isn't too much substance to what is actually being given in terms of immediate aid. Some of those announcements are schemes that are already ongoing, like the one to onboard more labor employment or formal labor into the workforce, which was announced in the last tranche. Do you think that there is a requirement for a more immediate and robust stimulus which would aid vulnerable sections of the economy like the service sector, like the SMEs?
No, the COVID crisis is still an ongoing crisis. We must understand that. We've had 3 Atmanirbhar Bharat packages. We will continue to review the situation, as the finance minister said. But a lot has been done. I mean, a lot has been done, as you see in terms of infrastructure, in terms of providing the extra 40,000 crore to the Manrega budget. In October, the LTC cash voucher scheme and the special festival advance scheme were announced to boost consumer demand. Government capital expenditure, which carries with it a huge multiplier effect, has also been given a fillip with rupees 25,000 crore allocated for capital expenditure on road, defense, water supply, urban development. And as part of this Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0, a demand boost for residential real estate has also been given by raising the cap on differential between circle rates and agreement value, and I'm sure that this will help in clearing unsold inventory, benefiting both owners and developers. So there have been targeted interventions to boost demand along with supply. The focus has always been to ensure that the stimulus packages support long-term growth. Quite often, news worthy items, you people look at short term, but for us, it's very important to look at long-term growth. And if we focus on long-term growth, I mean, look at the focus on infrastructure. As part of Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0, 6,000 crores equity has been infused in NIIF. Logistic is an area where there's huge focus on competitiveness. So I personally feel that long-term growth focus will automatically bring in growth, and structural reforms really hold the key, which has been driven. And all these packages together, both the fiscal and monetary policy stimuli, will both push for both short-term and long-term growth as far as India is concerned. And you are seeing this result on ground, actually.
No, Mr. Kant, I agree. I agree that long-term structural reforms are key, but there are still several sections of industry which are reeling. For example, the hotel and restaurant associations are constantly saying that we're on the verge of wipeout. We need immediate aid. There are sections in the travel and tourism industry, for example, which are in big trouble. There are large sections in the real estate sector which are still in big trouble, even though there is a pickup of demand in certain very limited pockets. Don't you think that more immediate aid is required for some of these sections, like a lot of other nations have been doing, coupled along with the long-term structural reform? Is it a concern on keeping within fiscal deficit targets that is holding us back?
No, so if you look at the travel and tourism sector, the COVID-19 has continued to impact it as of now, other than the domestic tourism. People are not flying in. International travel has not yet been fully opened in. So I think we should wait for the right moment. Actually, the government has not really focused on individual sectors other than looking at the total economy as a whole. I think we should wait for some more time when carriers start flying fully, international travel becomes fully liberal, COVID is under control. All the ammunition, all the firepower cannot be fired away at this particular moment. I think we should wait for the right moment. Even if support is given to the travel and tourism sector at this moment, it will not yield result. So I think it has to be a very matured, very graduated, a very sensible strategy of reviving sectors once situation normalizes.
So, to your mind, is there a lot more coming in terms of sector-specific and focused aid?
No, you've seen the strategy of the government that instead of carrying out one big bang and doing away with all its, firepower, the government has preferred a graduated and a more matured approach of doing three different packages, one after another. It has continued to see how the economy reacts and see how the impact of the structural reforms that have been carried out make a difference. The important thing is that the government is very, very clearly taking into consideration all the inputs that are coming to it. It is focusing very strongly on infrastructure, which remains a very priority area. It is continuing to digitize the economy in a very big way. It is focusing on areas where India can emerge as a leader in areas such as food processing, mobile manufacturing. And my personal view is that many of the reforms that have been taken and many of the fiscal and monetary policy measures that have been taken will both boost demand and along with supply. And I think as we continue to unlock the economy, you will see that there will be huge response from the government as we go along. I don't think the government has closed any option or closed any perspective of doing things for the future. It will continue to roll out measures as required for the economy to grow and prosper and jobs to be created.
Mr. Kant, a lot of the continued recovery in the economy hinges on the way that COVID-19 has been behaving. And so far, overall, the news has been good. Our daily fresh cases have come down below 30,000. But Delhi is a different situation in itself. I was reading a NITI Aayog quote saying that the cases could go up as high as 500 per million. And you've had the Chief Minister suggest a partial lockdown of sorts to control the spread of cases. Do you think that that is a real stumbling block we have to worry about?
No, it's important to understand that in Delhi, COVID has to be better managed. I think there is a need for citizens of Delhi to be far more disciplined. Citizens of Delhi also should undertake a huge ownership that if COVID spreads, is going to impact them in a very big way. It'll impact the economy in a very big way. What is being talked about is a hyper localized lockdown strategy right now, because you can't lock down the entire economy. It has huge impact in terms of the supply chains. And therefore, in certain areas where people are not being disciplined and where it is being spread, and let me assure you that wherever it is spreading, it is because the people and the citizens have not been disciplined. So it's very important to bring Delhi under full control. And that is what the meeting which the Home Minister took the other day has focused on, in creating additional beds, in creating house-to-house checks, and enhancing the total number of tests. But Delhi continues to remain a focus area for the Government of India.
So, do you think that we could see a spate of localized lockdowns if things go out of hand? Because the world over, we are seeing this pattern of a second wave coming in and being worse than the first. I mean, we can be optimistic that that just won't happen in India, but we need to be prepared for the possibility that it could.
The nature of the COVID-19 is still pretty unknown, and how it spreads, in what manner it spreads, what kind of an impact it has in a particular region or particular individual is still not fully known. And therefore, it's very incumbent to take the best possible measures to, right now, the only measures possible are either mask or physical distancing till you have a vaccine on hand. Measures are being already taken to obtain the necessary vaccines as and when they come out into the market. But till then, I think it's very important that we, individuals and citizens keep this. But if lockdowns are done heavily, then it will have very adverse impact. Actually, adverse impact for both health, for education, and for economy. All these get impacted in a very big way. And therefore, the right balancing between protecting citizens who are impacted by COVID as well as seeing the economy is very critical, because the minute you do a lockdown, all institutions get closed, all economy gets impacted. And Delhi is really the center for logistics.
Absolutely.
The center for supplies. And therefore, it's very easy to say that we should do a lockdown, but it'll have a huge impact on growth. It'll have a huge impact on progress. It'll have a huge impact on livelihoods. And therefore, very considered decisions need to be taken in a manner so that the overall economy does not get impacted. Because if Delhi is closed down, then the whole economy suffers very severely.
So from a central government point of view, the idea of another lockdown is just out of the question at this point, or in the foreseeable future. Even if cases do go up, we will have a very targeted approach. Is that a correct understanding?
That's right. That there will be a very targeted, localized strategy. If the spread is taking place in one particular locality, let's say if it is happening in Nizamuddin, is that particular area which should be localized, contained, and treated, not the entire Delhi. And similarly, the hotspot areas of in Delhi, those need to be really identified and house-to-house check with very, very controlled follow-up needs to be done. Testing needs to be enhanced. Patients who are above the age of 60 need to be then, who are impacted, need to be taken into very, taken into very, very careful consideration. But doing an overall lockdown of entire Delhi would not be a correct strategy to my mind.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Kant, for your time and for speaking with us as the Indian economy shows some positive surprises.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure talking to you.